want to take a moment to recognize we have a number of elected officials here today showing their compassion and commitment by being with us today, even though they don't have a speaking role and we're kind of tight on time here. But thank you, Senator Hashmi. Thank you, Senator Salim. Delegate Van Valkenburg, newly elected Senator Van Valkenburg is here. He's right in the back waving, but your senator from Henrico in Richmond is here. Next up, we have Delegate Marcus Simon. Many of you know him, but for me, like my relationship with Shannon, he's just available. Let me just say that repeatedly. He's available. To help. When you're in the building and you're walking through the halls, and a lot of legislators, they're doing just gargantuan amount of work in a very short amount of time. They get there at 6 a.m. and some don't go home until 11. And it's week in and week out, and it is hard to find some of them. They're too busy. But Delegate Marcus Simon is often and always available to us in the GVP movement. He is chairman of the House Public Safety Committee. He has guided many of these bills on their way to the Senate and thus to the governor's office. He will sit with me and strategize when, how, what. We need to tweak this. We need to fix this. He is in tune, in touch, committed, and he is a champion for all of us. Thank you, Delegate Simon, for being here.
Thank you, Roy. I probably shouldn't say a whole lot until you change your mind after that great introduction. So, listen, we've heard a lot about a lot of these great bills. I'm going to sort of go through some of them. This will be your chance to participate. I'm going to describe some of these bills, then I'm going to ask you what we want the governor to do. What are you going to say?
Sign those bills!
All right. She took my script away, too. So, we're going to figure it out. So we got 31 bills. So we're going to do this all 31 times. So we're going to hit some of the highlights. But I want to talk real quickly about this issue of safe storage. And this isn't just a list of bills, right? This is just a list of things. We talk to Republicans a lot about gun violence, and we hear about another tragedy. We hear about whether it's a big headline-grabbing tragedy, like we saw in Kansas City, whether it's the everyday kind of gun violence that Delegate Jones was talking about in his community. And we try and talk to Republicans about it, and their answer is essentially, there's really nothing we can do, right? It's just gun laws don't work, right? And they want you to feel hopeless, right? They want you to feel like it's just hopeless. It's hard sometimes not to feel hopeless. And then when you tell us that there's nothing we do, we're helpless to address it. Well, I'm here to tell you all, it is not hopeless. We can do something. We are not helpless. We have things that we can do to make our community safer. And here's sort of an example, right? I mean, a few years ago, we had a problem with kids getting into medicine cabinets at their houses. So what do? We say now, when you buy medicine, it's got to come in a child-proof container, right? So what is so hard about saying if you want to have a gun in your house, yes, you need to store it in a child-proof container? Yes. What is it about the guns that makes it so hard? It's not that hard, right? These are common sense solutions to real problems. Because as we heard from our speakers, when gun violence is the #1 cause of death among children in our country, there's got to be something we can do, and there is. And that's what we're here to talk about today. So we talked about this a little bit, but House Bill 2, Senate Bill 2, these didn't get these numbers by accident, right? These are our top priorities, and that's to ban assault weapons, because assault weapons on the street. So what do we want government to do? What do we want government to do with these two bills?
Sign those bills!
Right, we also have House Bill 175 and SB 99. We have a bill from Senator Evan and I that says, by the way, if we're not going to ban assault weapons, can we at least say you don't carry them around open on the streets and sidewalks of our community?
Yes!
What do we want the government to do with that bill? It says you can't just carry around an assault weapon anywhere you go. What do we want them to do?
Sign those bills!
We've got a bill we heard about to say, hey, school systems, really easy. Send some information to parents. Make sure they know where they can buy a gun safe. Make sure they know the importance of safe storage of their guns. Just information. Can we please make school systems give information to the kids? And I think the answer is we can. What do we want the government to do with those bills?
Sign those bills!
You know, we have to talk about universal background checks. We talk about banning assault weapons. We talk about all the things that we do to try and keep guns out of the hands of people that shouldn't have them, right? Well, what good does any of that do if you can go online and you can order yourself a kit and you can build a gun at home with no serial number on it, no traceability, no background check, no age verification, nothing, right? So Senator Evan and I have introduced a bill to ban these so-called ghost guns here in Virginia. What do the governor do with that bill? We've got, we heard about from a number of folks, Delegate Katrina Carlson and Senator Creed Eads have introduced a bill that says it ought to be more than just a trespassing violation if you bring a gun onto a college campus, right? We make it illegal to bring it to the Capitol. We make it illegal to bring it to our General Assembly building. Shouldn't we give universities the ability to make it illegal to carry those guns on campus?
Yes!
What do you want the governor to do with that bill?
Sign those bills!
Another place nobody needs to carry a gun. In any kind of hospital setting, any residential setting, anywhere where we're providing mental health treatment, right? This is common sense. What can we do? You know what we can do? We can say you can't bring a gun into a mental health facility, right? And that's what Delegate Phil Hernandez and Angela Williams-Graves' bill say. It say, do not bring your gun. I don't care if you have a concealed carry permit or not. Leave your gun at home. Don't bring it into our mental health facilities. Don't bring it into our hospitals. What do you want the governor to do with those bills?
Sign those bills!
Okay, so talked about the difference between cars and guns for a second, right? If I'm making a dangerous car, and then people are driving around and the wheels are falling off, or they get tapped from behind and the car blows up, what do we do? We can sue those auto manufacturers for the irresponsible acts, for the dangerous outcomes from building dangerous products. At the federal level, for whatever reason, the gun industry has said those rules don't apply to us, right? We can do whatever we want with these guns. You can't do anything to us. You can't stop us. You can't make us act in a responsible manner. Well, that may be the case at the federal level, and maybe somebody over here will make that a different situation in the future. But here in Virginia right now, we've got two bills from Senator Carol Foy, from Senator Deeds, another one from Dan Helmer that says, hey, gun industry, we expect you to adhere to certain standards. We expect you to produce safe products, and we expect to be able to hold you accountable in state court if you don't meet those standards. What do you want the governor to do with those bills?
Sign those bills!
We had a tragedy in Chesapeake recently, but it happens almost every day. It shouldn't be that if you get into a dispute with one of your coworkers and you're unhappy, that you can leave, go to the store, buy a gun with no waiting period, pick it up, buy the ammunition, take it back to that workplace and use it to shoot your colleagues. Those are preventable tragedies. We can intervene before those things happen. One way we can do that is to have a 5-day waiting period on our guns. And we have bills to do that from Senator Saline and from Delegate Hay. What do we need the governor to do with those bills?
Sign those bills!
And then finally, in our budget, we've got language that talks about providing resources towards intervention and avoidance, right? Because there are things we can do. It's about the guns, and we can't, even if we banned assault weapons today, even if we ban ghost guns, even when we ban trigger activators, getting them all together, getting them off the streets is going to take some time. But we also can start to address the root causes of gun violence, and we can have intervention programs, we can have community supports, we can have violence interrupters, we can use peer-to-peer support. There are all kinds of programs that are proven and effective and work in Virginia. And there's one that we've tried to fund called Operation Ceasefire. And when we put this money up for Operation Ceasefire, you know what the Attorney General did with the money? He spent $5 million on advertisements featuring his face saying, let's get serious about preventing violence, right? Does that actually prevent any violence? No. So we've got budget language that's going to tighten that up and say, if we're going to put money in the budget for violence interruption, for community supports, for all kinds of prevention programs, it needs to go to real, proven, effective prevention programs. What do you want the government to do with that budget amendment?
Sign those bills!
All right, so I get that. Going last, I had to wait for everybody to talk. Some of them were more articulate than I was, but I get to do the big, important job of thanking everybody that came here. So I want to, and so this is also audience participation. We're going to clap very loud and cheer for all the groups that are out here today. So if we hear it for the Blue Ridge Coalition Against Gun Violence. And let's hear it for Charlottesville Citizens Against Gun Violence. Let's hear it for Concerned Citizens Against Gun Violence. The Virginia Center for Public Safety. The Virginia Interfaith Center, thank you. The Virginia Sexual and Domestic Violence Action Alliance. We're united. Thank you. Team Enough. Every town for gun safety. This is going to allow anything from Moms Demand Action. Let's hear it for Students Demand Action. Let's hear it for Privileged Gun Owners for Safety. And let's hear it for March for Our Lives. So thank you guys so much. It's clear, it's obvious there are lots of things we can do. We are not helpless to stop gun violence. We are not helpless to enact common sense gun violence prevention measures. The situation around gun violence in our country is not hopeless. We can act. We need Republicans, Democrats, and we need the governor to sign those bills. Thank you very much.